you mean?
What's up, thrill nerds? Okay, so if you follow Jeffrey Siebert, you've probably noticed he's up to his old tricks again, putting out clues, teasing ideas, and building excitement for what's next at Fiesta Texas. And a lot of that attention is focused on one specific area, the space where we're seeing all that land clearing going on. And when I say land clearing, I mean a lot of land. And between the cryptic posts and the full moon imagery and everyone collectively trying to figure out what it all means, things are definitely getting interesting. I've been doing this roller coaster stuff for a long time, but I've never made a full prediction video or speculation video before. But before we get started, I would be honored to have you join me on my YouTube adventure by subscribing to my channel. All the support means the world to me. So, here we go. Here we go! If you didn't know anything was happening, this would feel like a completely normal day at Six Flags Fiesta Texas. Which technically it is. People are here to ride rides, grab food, and enjoy the park. And nothing about this feels out of the ordinary. And that's kind of the point. Everyone you're seeing right now is completely unsuspecting. They're not looking for clues. They're not reading into anything. They're just here to have a good day at the park. Meanwhile, somewhere on this property, a very large piece of land has already been cleared. You wouldn't know it from standing here. It almost feels like there's a full moon sitting just over the horizon, even though it's daytime and nobody walking past me right now can see it. But we need to zoom out a bit. This isn't just any park in the Six Flags chain. Fiesta Texas has quietly become one of the strongest performers in the company. It operates close to year-round, pulls consistent crowds, and doesn't rely on just a few peak summer months to stay profitable. That kind of consistency matters. It gives the park time, flexibility, and justification for larger, long-term investments. On top of that, Fiesta Texas has built a reputation for quality. Strong theming, thoughtful guest experience, and attractions that actually use the terrain instead of fighting against it. It's also a park that has been trusted to test new ride ideas and innovative concepts before they show up elsewhere in the chain. So when a park like this starts moving quietly, especially this far out from a milestone anniversary, it usually means they already know exactly what they want to build. And that's where this gets interesting. At first, this actually seemed pretty straightforward. The area where the construction is happening sits directly next to the water park. And to make room for whatever's coming next, the park removed 2 existing water slides. So naturally, the first assumption was that this was going to be a water park project, maybe even something like a water coaster. My initial thought, especially with some of the clues feeling a little spacey, was that this could be a high-tech water coaster, something with projections and fiber optics in a dark tunnel designed to stimulate space. And that theory wasn't coming out of nowhere. It was based on what we could actually observe from inside the park as construction started. This footage here is from when Detective Swizzy was on the case. Boots on the ground, walking the park and keeping an eye on what guests could actually see. From a guest perspective, this was the view. You see the hillside where both of those slides used to be, you see fencing, and you see some clearing, but that's about it. From inside the park, the project feels contained. It looks like a simple replacement. Remove older slides, rework the slope, add something new that fits cleanly into the water park footprint. The location made sense, the climate made sense, and the timing lined up for a potential 2026 edition. And based on what was visible at the time, there wasn't much reason to think this project extended beyond the hillside. Given the information that we had then, a water-based attraction was the logical conclusion.
Well, I don't know what you're talking about, that's for sure.
That original theory held up, until I saw things from a different perspective. This is the same project we were just talking about, but from the air. It looks nothing like a simple water park expansion. The cleared area stretches much further than what you can see from inside the park. It's wider, it's deeper. At this point, this isn't just reworking a hillside. This is a significant site prep. Large-scale land clearing, grading, and shaping that goes well beyond what you'd normally need for a water attraction. When you see this from above, it becomes pretty clear that whatever is going here isn't designed to stay hidden behind the water park. It's meant to occupy space and interact with the terrain, and it's meant to be seen. That's why my original water coaster theory stopped making sense. The scope, the scale, and the amount of land being prepped all point towards something much larger and more complex. So at that point, the question stopped being, what kind of water ride is it? And it started becoming, if it's not a water attraction, then what exactly are they building? When Jeffrey Siebert started talking about what's coming next, he didn't frame it as an expansion or a replacement or just a new ride. He referenced it to the park's next signature attraction. And that wording matters. Parks don't usually use language like that casually. A signature attraction isn't something you just add to fill space to boost capacity. It's something you build to represent the park, and something that defines a chapter in its history. Signature attractions are the rides that show up in large marketing campaigns. They're used to anchor large events like park anniversaries. They're meant to pull people from outside the region, not just give regular guests something new to try. So when you take that phrase, signature attraction, and you line it up with the scale of what we're seeing from in the air, it becomes clear that this project is being positioned as something more than just a supporting attraction. And once you start viewing this project through that lens, the list of realistic possibilities of what it might be gets a lot smaller.
Tell us already, Forty!
Before I talk about what I think it is, I want to start with what I don't think it is, because this is where most people are landing. A traditional hypercoaster is by far the most popular prediction I've seen, and I understand why. Big stats, big marketing, easy headline. But when you look closer, there are a couple things that just don't line up. The first is timing. The first time a hypercoaster even appeared as an option in a guest survey here was last year, and projects on this scale don't come together that quickly. Signature attractions are planned years in advance, long before guests even see them mentioned publicly. Based on how much site work we're already seeing, this project clearly didn't start last year. The second issue is space. On average, traditional hypercoasters tend to use around 190,000 square feet or more. They rely on long, straight sections and wide turns to function the way they're designed. The cleared area here is closer to 155 square feet. That's still a large site, but it's noticeably tighter than what you would normally expect for a full hypercoaster layout. Making that work would likely involve compromises, and this park usually avoids that. So while a hypercoaster is an easy guess, the timeline and the footprint both work against it. That's where the first realistic alternative comes in. A multi-launch family coaster, or possibly a multi-launch suspended family coaster. It actually fits the site pretty well. Launch coasters use space more efficiently. They can double back, work with terrain, and create a longer, more dynamic experience without needing massive straightaways. This park also has a history of building attractions that appeal to a wide range of guests. And a launched family coaster or suspended launch coaster would absolutely check that box. It's also worth noticing that this idea isn't new. a family multi-launch coaster appeared in a guest survey several years ago, which means the park would have had far more time to explore layouts, manufacturers, and how something like that could fit into the area. From a planning standpoint, that timeline matches up much better. It would be approachable, visually interesting, and a strong addition to the lineup. That said, this is where I start to hesitate. Calling something the park's next signature attraction sets a very high bar. And while a family-leaning launch coaster would be a solid addition, it still doesn't quite feel like the kind of ride you build to anchor a milestone anniversary. So while this is a very real, very logical possibility, I don't think it fully explains the scale and positioning of this project. So what have I ultimately narrowed my prediction down to? When I put everything together, the size of the site, the terrain, the timeline, and the way this project has been framed, one option consistently makes most sense. I think Six Flags Fiesta Texas is getting a high-thrill, multi-launch coaster, built by Vekoma, featuring a top hat, and likely themed to werewolves. Not a family coaster, and not a traditional hyper. Something faster-paced, more aggressive, and more modern, designed to take advantage of the terrain instead of relying on long, open straightaways. A launch coaster with a top hat that gives the park a major visual moment without requiring the footprint of a full hypercoaster. You still get height, speed, and spectacle, but in a layout that can fold back on itself, interact with the hillside, and stay compact where it needs to be. That combination explains a lot. It explains how this project can feel large without needing hyper-level space. It fits a timeline that suggests this has been in development for years, and it justifies calling this park's next signature attraction without chasing records just for the headline. Vekoma also makes sense. They've been working with Six Flags again recently, and their newer installations have shown a clear focus on smoothness, reliability, and guest response, not just stats. And more broadly, we're seeing how effective modern multi-launch thrill coasters can be when they're done right. Parks like Canada's Wonderland have seen strong returns with rides like Alpenfury, proving you don't need a traditional hyper to deliver a marquee experience. So when I look at everything together, this feels like the most complete answer. A high-thrill, multi-launch Vekoma coaster with a top hat. Modern, terrain-driven, and distinct. It just feels like the kind of ride Fiesta Texas would build when they're aiming to define the next chapter of the park. So that's my prediction. I won't pretend that there isn't a little bit of wishful thinking baked into this, but this is also the first time one of my wants actually checks all the boxes. The space, the planning timeline, and the way this park usually approaches big projects. So if I'm going to plant a flag, this feels like a pretty good hill to stand on. Right now, we're all working with the same information. The park is dropping clues, construction is moving quietly, and everything is still just far enough out that nothing is obvious yet. Whatever this ends up being, it's clear it's not a small project. This is something Six Flags Fiesta Texas has been planning for a long time. And with the anniversary coming up, it feels like it's going to be a meaningful addition. If you enjoyed this breakdown and want to see more videos like this, make sure to hit the like button. It really helps this channel, and consider subscribing for more speculation, construction updates, and park coverage. And if you want even more coaster talk, I co-host a podcast called The Coaster Chronicles, where we get into lots of coaster chat, stories from the parks, and longer form conversations like this with friends. Coaster Chronicles is on the Coaster Cuzzies podcast once a month. I'll have links to that down below. I'd love to hear what you think this is shaping up to be. If you're still on Team Hyper, tell me why. If you think that this is something totally different, let me know in the comments. Thanks for watching, and we'll see how this plays out.